Alright, there we go. What's up, you guys? Yay. Alright, waiting for people to join. Ah, my hair got caught in my nail. That's no good. Hi, you all. Alright. We will chill for a second, let people join. Hopefully the sound is okay. If the sound is not okay, can you please let me know? Hi. That would be wonderfully appreciated. Yeah, if this sound is not okay, just let me know. And hi, guys. All right. Hi, welcome. Welcome to the live. Okay, good. Oh, cool. Okay, perfect. Sound is fine. All right. Hello. Thank you for joining, you all. Cheers. Happy Monday. There's a lot to talk about today. I will get started in just a second. We'll let a few more people join. Hello, welcome. Oh, hello, Special K. Ola from Saudi. Hi, Saudi. Wow, that's pretty far away. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm so glad you guys are here. Hold on, I'm just adjusting the light. I have some new lighting, and I'm not very used to it, so I'm just trying to figure it out. Okay, I think that's maybe okay. Sorry, guys. All right, maybe that's all right. Okay. I like the color of your hair. Thank you very much. That's very sweet of you. Okay, where should we start? You know, I haven't been... Well, that's not true. I was live last week. I haven't been live too much lately. We're all using blue lights now. Is that what we're doing? I didn't even mean to use the blue. I have other lights. It's just like, I guess the blue just kind of goes with everything. It's so dark. Yeah, to me, it just kind of goes. And then can you see? Oh, you can kind of see my cactus. I have 2 cactuses. Me too, no hashtag. You're welcome. Blue is aggressive. It kind of is. I mean, that's super blue. But I'm also, I'm still out in the country. Like I'll probably be leaving here in, I don't know, you guys. It could be a month, it could be 2 months, it could be 3. It's kind of up to me. It's just when I find. So I'm in Virginia right now. I was in Los Angeles for a while. Yeah, I could see the red ones. Okay, so I could see the red lights being even more aggressive than the blue lights. Please don't go far. Well, I don't know. I'm probably going to go back to California. That's just the reality. And it's not that I am like California is the only place I want to be, but I have some ties to California, so it's hard not to be there. It's been really hard actually not to be there, but it's also been really good for my mental health not to be there. They make you look orange. Oh, the red lights? Well, yeah, but I could also see the red lights just being super aggressive. Well, that's what they tried to do with Joe Biden. They tried to, whoever his advisors were, they were like, hey, let's put you in this setup and make you look like Hitler, like the speech that he gave the other week. They're like, let's do red backlight. Put 2 guards behind you where all we can see are their white gloves, and we'll have you just really angry and telling half of America that they're terrible and awful people, and that's really good optics. so so I don't So beyond the red making someone look orange, great optics. It looked like the USA was on fire with the red lighting. It did, and it made Joe Biden look very dictatory, which I thought Donald Trump was the dictator, but I guess it's Joe Biden. You know what's really funny? I'm on this live, you guys. I'm probably this live. If you guys don't mind, I would actually really like to just look at your comments and just chat with you if that's cool, instead of preparing things that I've prepared for you. So if you think that's cool, let me know. If not, I have things that I could talk about with you, but I would almost like to just talk to you. Okay. Yeah. Hi. Okay, cool. So, someone was talking about the optics of Joe Biden being against the red back. No, we talk. Okay, so we're talking. That's what we're doing. We're talking. Cool. I like that. I think that's very cool. So the optics of Joe Biden being a red, I don't know who decided that or who thought it was a good idea, but there was an actual meme way before this even happened. There was a meme of Joe Biden that it was a Chinese meme, and it was Joe Biden on that like Game of Thrones throne, and the backdrop was red, and he looked very like serious and dictatory. And it was almost like whoever Joe Biden's advisors were at the time, they were like, well, I mean, everyone's saying Joe Biden's like old and weak, but we have this meme and he looks kind of badass. So like maybe we could make him look badass again. And let's just like put him in Philadelphia behind a red backdrop. And that would be really cool. I think that would make him look really tough and really badass. But it actually had the backwards effect. It made him look really dictatory. But here's my favorite criticism. So I was listening to, I think it was The View. Yeah, I think I was listening to The View. So I was listening to, yep, it was Sunny. It was Sunny on The View. And she was talking about Donald Trump. And this was just like a few days ago. This is what I don't understand. This is what's so funny. And you can use this. This is my gift to you. I'm giving you a gift right now because it took me a lot of sitting here and pondering to really think of something that was so obvious. So Democrats love to call Donald Trump a dictator. That's their thing. They're like, he's a dictator. He's so dangerous. He's a dictator. He's the N-word. That ends with an I, not, you know what I'm saying. He's all of these terrible things. Okay, so if Donald Trump was a dictator, first of all, the most dictatory things that Donald Trump ever did in office are the things that Republicans are the most critical of. The lockdowns, the vaccine. Well, Donald Trump was not for mandates, but the lockdowns. So Donald Trump kind of helped with the lockdowns. So the most dictatory thing that Donald Trump ever did, Republicans are critical of. They don't like that. Yet, Democrats are still like the MAGA party, the ultra MAGA party, the dangerous. They like Trump because he's a dictator. No, most Republicans criticize Trump because of the lockdowns, because he started that. And I like Trump. I'm not trying to bash on Trump at all. I like Trump. I'm just saying if you're going to be a Democrat and you're going to call Trump a dictator, and you're going to say that's why I don't like him, but then you were all for the lockdowns, that's the most dictatorial thing that Trump did in his presidency were the lockdowns. And you were all for that. You were down with that. So is anyone else seeing that? I find that rather funny. It's a clown show. It's an absolute clown show, especially now, because what surprises me is how adamant some people can be. And it's like now we have both We have both administrations. Oh, hi, Glenn. Big problem. Orange man. What's really interesting right now is we have both administrations to put sort of like back to back. So we can put them back to back and we can compare. Okay, we had Donald Trump in office. We called him a dictator. We said all these things. So we have his 4 years to compare to what's happening right now. And it's like Trump had 4 years. Did you ever see anything that was super dictatorial from him? And this is the trap too, because again, like Democrats, they love to call him a dictator, but they loved the lockdowns. So they can't even criticize him on the most dictatorial thing that he did because they loved the lockdowns. They advocated for the lockdowns. So they can't even criticize him on like literally the most dictatorial thing that he did, which is hilarious to me. And then you had, I think it was this past week, but if you looked at the video that I posted earlier today, it's not even on the live, but it was about Hillary Clinton. Trump kept Fauci, even though Trump did not agree with Fauci. Yeah, so there's so many things to criticize Trump over that they actually could have legitimate criticisms over Trump, but instead they say he's a white supremacist, he's a fascist. Okay, well, that's just not going to fly. Do your homework. Because I do think with Democrats, with liberals, there's actual criticism. And if you follow, there's a guy, I've met him in person before. He's really cool. His name is Anomaly, and he's very against the lockdowns, vaccine mandates, all that stuff. So he's been he's a Republican, but he's been very critical over Trump. And Democrats, no, they're not. They're missing the mark. They're missing the mark with Trump because they're too broad. They don't do their homework. They keep calling him. If you want to convince people to not like Trump, you probably actually could convince a few Republicans to not like Trump, but you're going at it all wrong. Because Republicans do not like government overreach. Republicans did not like lockdowns. And as much as a lot of people hate to admit it, Trump was in office when all of that stuff started. So if you really wanted to criticize him, you would do that. But they can't do that. You know why? Because the liberals, they loved lockdowns. They loved the lockdowns. So they can't criticize Trump over that. Which kind of sucks for them, right? It really sucks for them. This is one more way in which they really effed themselves. They do this all the time. They just eat themselves. They could actually have legitimate criticisms over Trump to the point where they could maybe skew a few Republicans over their way because a lot of Republicans were really against lockdowns, but they choose not to. All right, let's look at, one more. I have to look at Kamala Harris because we haven't done a Kamala Harris sort of dive in a while. I think it was funny, Lena Wynn finally. Oh, wait, Leanna Wynn. She was she's the lady that I'm going to be honest, this is not professional of me to say. She creeped me out. She creeped me out. I think that she thought she was saying the right things. Someone just said it was almost like watching a horror movie. It really was. It was almost like watching a horror movie, but you have to look at them and you're like, okay, but they actually believe what they're saying. So let me try to understand where they're coming from. Okay, so anyway, we'll go beyond that. I feel like we should go more into that at some point. Why? And again, this is what blows my mind is because we have these two administrations to hold against each other and to compare, yet people are still calling Donald Trump a dictator. But the most dictatory thing that he did, they loved. Maybe they don't understand. Maybe they don't know the definition of a dictator. That is very possible. All right, let's look at Kamala though. So this is coming out of the Daily Wire, and it says Kamala has lost her ground. Veep claims border is secure, yet blames Trump for crisis. This is going to be very, very interesting. All right, so I'm going to read this article with you live, and we are going to react live because I just happen to know a lot about what has been going on the border. I've been following it since Joe Biden took office. Actually, I've been following the border since way before that, but I've been following it even closer since he took office. So I'm going to read through this article, and we're going to talk as I'm reading through it because I have no idea what she said. We're going to do this together. And that's what we're going to do. Here we go. Vice President Kamala Harris. So Vice President Kamala Harris's definition of secure is pretty weird. This is from the Daily Wire, by the way, so obviously it's going to be opinionated and biased, but I do know the facts, so be sure that if I read something that is factually wrong, I will tell you, but just keep in mind there's a lot of opinion in here. Vice President Kamala Harris's definition of secure is pretty weird. On Sunday, Harris told NBC's Chuck Todd that the border is secure and that it is a priority for any nation, including ours and our administration. So Kamala Harris is basically saying that a secure border is the priority of any nation, which makes sense, right? That's correct. That makes sense. Under the Biden administration watch, millions from all over the globe have entered the United States illegally. At record highs, anyone with even an ounce of shame or common sense could recognize that the border is wide open. Shame and common sense are in short supply in the Biden administration, though. Opinion piece, keep that in mind. Shame and common sense are in short supply in the Biden administration, though, and Harris' latest interview indicates that they have zero serious ideas or desires to fix the border. The vice president denied that the border was a gigantic sieve, even after Todd pointed out the Border Patrol could experience 2 million encounters per month this fall. You guys. Just to put this in perspective, we started taking in a lot of immigrants. So what people will say. So our Statue of Liberty, let's go back to the beginning. I'm glad you're here. Our Statue of Liberty says we take in our sick and our poor and our weak, and that's what our Statue of Liberty is all about. It's about taking in the sickest and the poorest in the world, and we help them and we give them jobs and we allow them to prosper, right? That's what the United States of America is all about, right? And that's true. So back in I think it was like the 1920s, we imported a lot of Irish, maybe Italian. You can help me on this. I actually, my great-great-grandfather, his name is still on the books on Ellis Island, Emilio Sansoni. That's my great-great-grandfather. They're immigrants. They came in through Ellis Island. So we get it. I get it. I'm here because of immigration. We are a country of immigrants. Yes, and that's what our Statue of Liberty says, right? So we are a country that was built on taking people in. Thank you so much. Take all my pesos. Wait, can I just... That was very sweet. Thank you very much. Oh, I can't read it. It said, take all my pesos. Thank you very much. So that's what we say. We say, take our poor. We say, we'll take your poor, you're dying. But the truth of the matter is, the people that are claiming asylum and that are coming over the border illegally, 90% of them, and I would even argue that 95% of them, do not meet asylum status. So there's 700 million people. My question was, I had a question a while back, and my question was, so forget about the United States, because everyone in the United States will tell you that you are a terrible, awful person for even considering the United States. We're so lucky we have to consider. Okay, then I won't. Forget the United States. What is mass immigration? What is the effect of mass immigration on the entire world? Can someone answer me that? So if we forget about the United States, let's just forget about all of this, which we obviously have for a while. We don't care about our own well-being. We have this guilt complex where we feel like we owe the entire world everything. So let's do that. Let's forget about ourselves, and let's forget about, for a few seconds, how illegal immigration negatively affects the United States. Let's forget about that. Let's put that aside. How does mass migration, let's even take out the illegal part. Let's even do that. We're going to take out, not only are we going to take out the effect that it has on the United States, let's take out the legal factor. Let's just take out the fact that it's illegal. So those two things are gone. The effect that it has on the United States and the fact that it's illegal, those two factors, gone. I'm helping you to convince other people why this is bad, because it's so serious. All right, so those two factors are gone. How does mass migration affect the world? Are we helping? Because isn't that what we want to do, right? Like, we want to help the world with mass migration. That's what we're doing. We're helping the world. We're making the world a better place by taking people in. All right. So how does that work? Well, the truth of the matter is, we're actually not helping anyone by taking people in, because let's look at numbers. There's 700 million, according to the World Bank, there's 700 million people that live in extreme poverty around the world, right? So they live under $1.90 a day. So there's 700 million people who live under $2 a day. There's approximately 1.9 billion people who live under $3 a day. 1.9 billion people around the world who live under $3.20 a day. All right. None of those people are the ones that are coming over our border illegally. None of middle class, working aged people that live in their countries. The president of El Salvador was talking to Tucker Carlson, and he said, things were really bad in my country for a really long time. We had no jobs. We had tons of crime, and people wanted to leave. And he said, but now things are getting better. Like, we're improving. We have more jobs. We have less crime. We're improving our country. But what's happening now, when the U.S. is enticing people to come, now our working class is leaving. They're not here anymore. They're going to the U.S., so they're leaving behind the poor and the sick and the elderly, because it's the poor and the sick and the elderly who cannot make the trek up to the United States through Mexico, because that's how you do it. You're not just flown to the United States, you're coming here illegally and you are paying smugglers to smuggle you illegally into the United States. That's what you're doing. It's not a humanitarian thing. This is a crime industry. So, if you support an open border, you support a crime industry, even if you don't realize it. That's what you're supporting. I mean, what I would love to see, if you want to claim asylum, go to an embassy. I think I saw someone, I didn't see the whole comment, so I don't even know if it's relevant, but I saw someone say make offices, allow people to apply for asylum, but also know that most of these asylum claims, they're not met. They're not actually asylum claims. So anyway, there was something I wanted to read to you. Let me see if I can find it because it's actually really important. We started taking in a lot of immigrants because we needed a lot of labor. So when the Irish came over, when the Italians came over, that was because we needed a lot of labor in the United States. By the way, I'm one of the Italians that came over, right? So they needed labor. It was the Industrial Revolution. They needed people to work. So there was a need for people in the U.S. That's why they brought in all these immigrants. And then they actually halted immigration from, I want to say 1925 to 1965, but look it up. But there was a period of time where they halted immigration. There was no immigration taken in our country. And I think it was till 1965, you guys. And then they started taking in immigrants again. And by the time it was like 1990, we were averaging about 1 million people a year coming and immigrating in our country. That's a lot. And with the most radical immigration policy you can think of, we would bring in maybe like 2 million a year, which is still a lot. Which 2 million people a year, that will cripple our infrastructure, our resources, everything. But that's the track that we're on right now. So what I'm reading, okay, Vice President Kamala Harris' definition of secure is pretty weird. On Sunday, Harris told NBC Chuck Todd that the border is secure and that it is a priority for any nation, including ours and our administration. Under the Biden administration's watch, millions from all over the globe have entered the United States illegally. At record highs, anyone with even an ounce of shame or common sense would recognize the border is wide open. Yeah, for sure. Shame and common sense are in short supply in the Biden administration, though Harris' latest interview indicates that they have zero serious ideas or desires to fix the border. The vice president denied that the border was a gigantic sleeve, even after Todd pointed out that the Border Patrol could experience 2 million encounters per month this fall. Do you hear me? 2 million encounters per month this fall. Let that sink in. That will permanently change our country. You want to gloss over it? You want to pretend like this isn't happening? I would actually argue, and I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just trying to be serious, because this is how serious we need to be about this. If you have small children, I don't have kids right now. If you have kids, I don't know if they're going to grow up. At this point, I don't. Maybe you can tell me, because I know you guys are as up to date as new with the news as I am. Is it safe to say at this point that this isn't going to be the same country? If you have a small child, they are not going to grow up in the same country as you did already because of this amendment. We had 5 million people. Yeah, it might be safe to say that at this point. They're not going to grow up in the same country, and you don't see it right now. You're not going to see it right now. 2 million people a year would cripple our country. 2 million people in a month? I try really hard, because I've been following this stuff from the very beginning, and I try really hard to stay grounded and not get fear-mongery and to be chill about all this. But at this point now, I don't know. I don't know, you guys. Like, I have all these liberal friends, and they have kids, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Because here's the thing too. So I've been following this chick. I'm sorry, I'm saying chick. This is how I get when I get like really passionate. I start talking like an Italian New Yorker dude. This chick. Is that how an Italian talks? Probably not, but that's how I'm talking right now. So I've been following this girl who, she actually works for the Daily Caller. So I have a few people that I follow very closely. And I have a few people that I follow very closely, and they've been on the border. So those are like my go-to border people. And this is another person that I discovered. She works for the Daily Caller, and she's been on the border as well. And she's been asking a question that I've been thinking about for a minute, and I'm so glad she's asking it. But she's going to meetings, and she's asking Republicans, and I think this is what we all need to be asking Republicans. All right, yeah, you talk a big game. You talk about how when you take the House, when you take the Senate, you're going to do this and you're going to do that. What are you going to do about removal when you're in office? What are you going to do about removal and enforcement when you take the House and when you take the Senate? If that happens in the midterms, when you take the House and when you take the Senate, okay, we know the border is out of control. We've heard you say that a million times. We hear you tweet it all the time. We hear your little sound bites. But what exactly are you going to do about it? Okay, yeah, when you get in office, we're going to start the border wall. We're going to re-implement Remain in Mexico. We're going to do this. Okay, what are you going to do about enforcement and removal? Because there's a lot of people here and we don't know their history. They could be criminals. We don't know who they are. What are you going to do about that? And I think that's a question that everyone needs to be asking their representatives or anyone. What are you going to do about that? Because a lot of damage has already been done. And this is not to knock anyone that wants to come here for legitimate reasons. But we all know that people take advantage of these loopholes, and criminals might come into our country and say that they're here for a different reason. We should get to choose who we let in. Absolutely. Who already came here? This is what you should be asking your representatives. Okay, you're going to re-implement all of these things, but what are you going to do about the people that got here? What are you going to do as far as removal and enforcement? What are you going to do about those two things? And I think that's a very serious question that should be asked. Anyone going into any country should be vetted. I think I've told you guys this before, but I used to work at a state-run psychiatric hospital for children and adolescents. And so when you work for a facility at that capacity, so we're state-run, we're funded by the government, we're funded by the state, we are state employees, we're a state facility. So basically what that meant, we were the only facility like us in the whole state of Virginia. So basically what that meant was that we had to take everyone. We couldn't turn anyone away. We were a government facility. We have to take everyone. So we actually got a kid one day who was here illegally. He was 17 years old. Can't tell you his name or anything about him. We had him for a few weeks. Come to find, we had zero papers on him. Zero. So all we had was, he's this age, this is his name. That's it. And where did that come from? Him. So that we knew nothing. But we're a state government run facility, so we had to take him in, right? We had him for a few weeks. A lot of pretty sketch things happened. Come to find, after he left, by unprecedented circumstances, that's a whole other video, we found out he was in fact over 18 and he had a charge on him from Mexico. He had a very serious, very gruesome charge, which doesn't mean he's guilty. It was a charge, but still, this person would have never, if we knew who this person was, if we knew how old this person was, he would have never been placed with these girls. And this is another thing about illegal immigration that people don't talk about, and it drives me crazy. How do liberals not see this? I don't understand. It's like, when people are coming over the border, you don't know how old they are. You don't know their criminal history. You don't know their medical history. You don't know their vaccination history. You don't know their trauma history. You don't know their you know nothing about them. Nothing. And when I worked in those facilities, so I worked with at-risk kids, the very first thing I would do when we would get a new kid into our facility, the very first thing I would do is I would look at their file, because we would always get a file. I would look at their file. What's their family history? What's their trauma history? What's their medication history? What's their health history? What medication are they on right now? What therapy are they working with through right now? Like, all of these things help me to help the kid. Knowing these things helps me to not only help the kid I'm working with, but to help everyone else too. And when you're here illegally, we don't have any of those things for you. None of those things. So not only, and I think about that too, I'm like, this many people are coming over the border right now. What's happening to those state employees, just like me, who work in these little tiny state psychiatric hospitals, who are now taking in all of these people who we have no information on? How are they supposed to care for these people? How are they supposed to care for the kids that they work with? The system works when it works correctly and when everyone enforces things correctly. But when people stop enforcing things correctly, when things start getting politicized, when they start saying, I'm going to enforce this, but not this, it screws it up. It gets wonky. It gets unhealthy. People get hurt. People die. And you sound like what foster parents do up here. Yeah. That is what, well, I mean, I worked with foster parents. Okay, someone said migration won't go anywhere. Right. Migration won't go anywhere as long as there are poor people. Yeah, yes, I understand that. It's always going to be a thing. There are always going to be people. There are always going to be richer countries and poorer countries, and there's always going to be a disparity, and that's unfortunate. And it's going to happen. Not only is it going to happen in the context of the world, it's going to happen in the context of a country. It's going to happen in the context of a county. It's going to happen in the context of a school district. It's going to happen in the context of a city or anything. There's always going to be the more privileged and the less privileged, the advantaged and the disadvantaged. Like, that's going to be present in any society that has ever existed in any time ever. It's a part of the human condition. It's just going to be. But the question is, how do we best practice? We know, how do we best practice to make sure that the most people are successful, right? How do we make sure that the most countries and the most people can be successful? How do we get more people out of poverty? Like, okay, maybe we can't get all people out of poverty this year, but how can we get the most people out of poverty this year? What's going to work this year to get maximum benefits from what we are trying to do, right? So I think that's how we have to look at it, because we're never going to be able to fix everything with one. Things are too nuanced, there's too much stuff going around. So I think one of the first things we can do is enforce our own laws and make them very clear. Why do people come to the US? They are incentivized to come here. What is incentivizing them to come here? It's our lackadaisical immigration laws. We have a ton of insane loopholes in our immigration laws. And instead of fixing those, our politicians keep pandering policies and they're just destroying our country. So I think first, enforce the laws in your own country to de-incentivize people from coming here, because what you have happening, you have the able-bodied, the energetic, the people that want change. Those are the people that are immigrating to America. But what are those people doing? They're leaving their own country. Imagine what they could do in their own countries. Imagine how prosperous their own countries could be if that energy stayed in their country. Even the Dalai Lama himself said the proper way to deal with mass migration is to take them in, educate them, and then send them back to their countries so that they can rebuild. Because what happens when everyone from El Salvador comes to America? Well, now there's no El Salvador. Now there's just a bunch of gangsters and sick people in El Salvador. El Salvador is done. It's just a crime district. What happens when everyone from Cuba comes to America? When all of the able-bodied people from Cuba come to, now there's no Cuba. Do you see what I'm saying? I love culture. That's why I want there to be controlled migration. Because I want other cultures to be rich and vibrant and prosperous. Anyhow. All right, you all. Well, I think that's everything that I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I think things are coming to a head in America. It's about to get real soon. Yeah. No, I think what's happening in America, what you guys maybe don't know about me, and I don't always disclose my personal stories, which I probably should more, to be honest with you, but I used to work for the government. I worked for, well, I tell you guys sometimes, like I worked for the state of Virginia for a few years, and then I worked for the city of Denver. So I never worked on like a Washington D.C. level or anything like that, but I did have experiences and I did see things, and a lot of the things that we talk about right now, I've seen a long time. I saw the start of it a long time ago, so I have a lot of hope. I'm very optimistic, and I think we just need to keep having these conversations. We need to keep talking about this stuff. We need to be vocal about this stuff. We need to have conversations, keep making content, and keep rocking on. All right, you all. I appreciate it. You guys have a fabulous night. I had a great time with you all, and I hope to see you later. Bye. How do I turn that? I don't know how to turn it off. Did you ever get frustrated walking in social services and that's why you quit? I'll answer that at another time. I had a lot of frustrations with social services. I actually think, anyway, we'll talk about that another time. But I actually worked in social services in a sense. So bye. All right, you guys have a great day. Bye.